Hello, I'm Elise Pedersen, and today I'm presenting my research proposal. It's called Drawing from Within: Neurographic Art and Interoceptive Awareness in Informal Caregivers of Elderly Family Members. This study emerges from both rigorous academic inquiry and deeply personal experience as someone who has navigated the challenges of caregiving firsthand. Let's start with the scope of the issue. Right now, we're facing an unprecedented elder care crisis. Between 2011 and 2022, the number of people providing care to older family members increased by 6 million. This dramatic increase is driven by two factors. First, more people are wanting to age in place, age at home, rather than moving into facilities. And second, there's a shortage of professional caregivers. So who ends up filling this gap is informal caregivers, family members that provide unpaid care to relatives who have conditions like stroke, Parkinson's, dementia, and other chronic illnesses. These caregivers handle the activities of daily living, everything from cooking and cleaning and bathing to toileting, medication management, 24-hour supervision. The toll is enormous. Research consistently shows that informal caregivers experience high rates of burnout, depression, and physical health problems. They're so focused on meeting their loved ones' needs that they often completely neglect their own well-being. The COVID-19 pandemic really highlighted this. Caregiver well-being is vital, but it's frequently overlooked. The thing that's particularly concerning is that caregivers often lose touch with their own bodily signals. This is known as interoception. When you're constantly responding to someone else's needs, you learn to ignore your own hunger, fatigue, pain, stress. So we disconnect from our interoceptive awareness, our body's internal monitoring system, and this contributes directly to burnout and compromised health. What research tells us now is that this problem has been recognized and various interventions have been tested. There was a major meta-analysis by Liu and colleagues that examined mindfulness training for dementia caregivers. They found significant improvements in depression, perceived stress, and quality of life, which is promising news. Similarly, there are web-based mindfulness programs that have shown benefits for caregivers dealing with mental illness in their families. And art therapy research has also demonstrated potential. Studies show that creative interventions can improve caregiver-patient relationships and provide accessible coping mechanisms, which is incredibly important. But here's the thing. While these interventions help with emotional regulation and stress reduction, they don't specifically target the fundamental issue that I mentioned, helping caregivers reconnect with their own bodily awareness. Most focus on cognitive and emotional outcomes, not the embodied experience of caregiving. So the gap that I'm looking at is interoceptive awareness and art therapy. Interoceptive awareness is crucial for self-care. When caregivers lose this awareness, they can't recognize when they need rest, emotional support, food, when you're thirsty, when you have to go to the bathroom. While we have evidence that mindfulness and art therapy can help caregivers, we don't have any studies that specifically examine how creative practices might enhance interoceptive awareness. And the other significant gap is that there's no research in neurographic art as a therapeutic intervention, despite it having unique properties that seem perfectly suited for developing bodily awareness. Neurographic art is what I think as I think it's the perfect tool for this. What exactly is it? Developed by Pavel Piskarev, it's a meditative drawing practice that combines intuitive line making with present moment awareness. And I'll just walk you through the basic process. You can start with a pen or pencil. You don't need any special supplies, which I think is really important. And you just start drawing flowing organic lines on paper. You're maintaining attention to your breathing and bodily sensations. Sometimes you don't even look at the paper. There's a variety of ways to do this. Sometimes people use their non-dominant hand, which really removes any pressure to create something good or artistic. After creating these initial lines, you go through a process of softening and connecting them into curved neural-like patterns. So if you look at the slide that I have here, this just started out as lines, and then this is not my art, but I've done similar things. And then you're just softening and connecting those edges so everything becomes more round. It's a very meditative process doing that rounding. There's something kind of hypnotic about following the lines and creating these organic connections. What makes neurographic art ideal for this study is its accessibility. You don't need any artistic skill, as I mentioned, no expensive materials, and it can be completed in a pretty short amount of time, like 10, maybe 20 minutes. Most importantly, the practice naturally encourages present moment body awareness through its emphasis on mindful movement and somatic attention. For my study, participants will do a brief body scan before and after each neurographic art session, explicitly checking on sensations like tension, fatigue, hunger, and their emotional state. This combination of creative expression and body awareness practice is designed to help caregivers reconnect with their interoceptive signals. Now I'll outline how I'm going to study this. My research question is, can neurographic art therapy increase interoceptive awareness among informal caregivers of elderly patients? I'm recruiting up to 10 informal caregivers of elderly family members. To qualify, they have to be unpaid caregivers, providing at least 10 hours a week of care or living with their care recipient. And they have to have been caregiving for at least 6 months to ensure established patterns. This is a qualitative study with 3 phases. So first, there will be a pre-intervention interview where I'll explore their current relationship with body awareness, how they recognize hunger, fatigue, stress, and whether or not caregiving has affected their self-care. Second will be the intervention itself. Participants will practice neurographic art 2 to 3 times a week for 2 weeks. Each session includes a body scan, 10 to 20 minutes of neurographic drawing, and a brief reflection. There's an option to journal if they would like to take notes of anything that came up for them during this process. And finally, there will be a post-intervention interview to explore any changes in their interoceptive awareness and how they experience the practice. I'm particularly interested in their subjective accounts of what this meant to them and how it might have affected their daily self-care. So in conclusion, this research addresses critical gaps in caregiver support by targeting the fundamental disconnection from bodily awareness that contributes to burnout. By studying neurographic art specifically, I'm exploring an accessible, brief intervention that caregivers could potentially continue using independently. The qualitative approach will provide rich insights into how caregivers experience changes in body awareness and what those changes mean for their daily lives. This could inform the development of a more comprehensive caregiver support program that addresses both emotional and embodied aspects of caregiving stress. Ultimately, this research recognizes that to care effectively for others, caregivers must first be able to recognize and respond to their own needs. If we can help them reconnect with their own body's wisdom through something as simple as drawing flowing lines on paper, we might be able to help them put their oxygen mask on first. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions about